this is what happens. You get the Snake Eyes Diabellstar, which will in turn allow itself to eventually climb into further monsters. As you said, Snake Eyes Doom Dragon, very much a possibility later on.
If you are in your engine, yes. If you're not in your engine, then you want to put the Snake Eye Ash there with another card.
Sending for Diabellstar the Black Witch.
Yep, alright, okay, we're sending the Temple off immediately, but Diabellstar is a very, very good start into this game here. Do we see a possible interaction from Emre? There is a good chance he is on the Tenpai strategy. I didn't quite see in the beginning who decided that Barcode is going first, if it was Emre or Barcode, but Diabellstar the Black Witch is going to resolve here. I think that we're currently choosing the target for it. And Emre is just patiently waiting. Deception of the Sinful Spoils is being activated.
Yep, Deception of the Sinful Spoils, as you said, going to resolve here. It is going to be Diabellstar the Black Witch. She sent a card from the field to the graveyard to be summoned. Now going to be sent on top of that to allow these Azamina components to truly come online. Murcielago actually being revealed in the extra deck here. Could very well see this initial piece of the puzzle start to come out for Barcode. So far, no disruption from Emre. Granted, if he is playing Tenpai Dragon into this, it could very well end up that no disruption is needed, because later on, that's when things start to get scary for Barcode.
Oh, and now we activate original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye. We search that to the hand. So there is a few different routes that we can go for. You can send off the Murcielago for your original Sinful Spoils and then add the Hallowed Azamina back from your graveyard to your hand if you have something to do with it, or it's just a free resource as a card in hand.
Yes, indeed, could very well be that is the case. Snake Eye Ash here, about as good as a summon as you can get, either normal or special. Does have the additional effect to bring out Poplar. Poplar will then in turn summon itself, and that, as you said, eventually leads to more and more access for the Snake Eye components to get to the Doom Dragon, to get to really anything, the Flamberge Dragon, so many dragons in an otherwise fire-focused deck.
Yeah. And now we can just decide how we play this combo. I think at this point there's 100 ways to play the Snake Eye combos.
And rank 1 XCs here coming out for Barcode. The Kikinagashi Fucho going to be the play here.
Oh, and we're just passing the turn here on Fucho.
That's not ideal.
I mean, it's basically a turn ender for the
Tenpai Dragon. Yeah, for sure. It does mean that we have the opportunity to run interference there. 4 cards in hand, potential disruption here. We are giving 1,000 life points, as you mentioned before.
But, I mean, there are a few outs to the Kikinagashi Fucho. I always get this name messed up. Because there can be like another upstart there. You can not run over it, of course, but you can Ultimate Slayer it away. You have the... I like that it was activated immediately. No, it wasn't activated yet, right? Oh, we draw Lockbird here. Because now if we have found the Forbidden Droplet, it's also decent out to the Kikinagashi Fucho. I don't know. I would have liked to see like a huge field from Barcode. Oh, it's unaffected by other cards effects. What am I even saying? I misread the first part of the card. Yeah, this is basically a turn ender for the Tenpai deck. Always has been.
And as we said, Tenpai really wants that turn 2 victory. If it gets to turn 3, it's basically it. Droll Lockbird going to be called by the grave.
You need a Kaiju for this, basically. A Kaiju, Game Seal, or Kamungus, something cool, and then start Tenpaiing. At this point, we're just trying to diminish the resources of Barcode on the side of Emre, because I don't think that Barcode has built up some big resources here.
Still holding the effect of the Kikinagashi Fucho here, and actually will use the Triple Tactics Thrust to basically choose whichever spell or trap Emre wants. Anything that can deal with the Kikinagashi Fucho.
Nothing can deal with it. It's unaffected by other cards' effects, and it can't be run over by battle. So there is... I'm just trying to think if there is like any spell card. Oh,
normal
Herald of the Dawn. I think could be the Herald... or Herald of the Abyss, not Herald of the Dawn. Abyss and Dawn. Herald of the Abyss would basically allow Emre to call Winged Beast and Wind, and then Barcode would have to tribute a Winged Beast and Wind monster from his side of the field, which would be Kikinagashi Fucho. But I don't think that Emre plays that, because usually this is a card played to out Expurli Noir, and We are not expecting Pearly in this tournament.
I don't think we are, but what is Emre going to add off of this? It will be the Sky Striker Mobilize Engage.
Yep, Engage can be activated as well, as we called by the Graved the Droll and Lockbird earlier. So not even only follow-up, but set up, perhaps.
Is it? Oh, of course it's 3 spells in Graveyard because of the 2 Upstart Goblins, but here is an Ash Blossom Joy Spring to run interference on that. Perhaps Called by the Grave would have been nice for that one, but at the end of the day, you had to deal with the Droll and Lockbird.
Yeah, but Emre is, I think, is just trying to build up some advantage while Barcode is sitting there laughing devilishly there about the efforts of Barcode, because he has set up in original Sinful Spoils, because this card can banish itself, shuffle back a Diabellstar or Snake Eye monster from the GUI into the deck, and then search another one from your deck to your hand, and there is still Snake Eye's Oak in the deck of Barcode. And also, he can just now use Popular Effect to put Snake Eye's Diabellstar from the graveyard back into the Spell and Trap zone. So plenty of follow-up there, and Emre is going to struggle with winning this game.
Yeah, Emre, I guess we'll see if he establishes some kind of disruption-heavy field off of this Tenpai Dragon Chundra. Ultimately, though, I think a lot of the Tenpai Dragon extra deck is committed to just trying to close out the game in single turn. Yeah, this looks to be pretty tricky for the Tenpai Dragon deck.
Yep, so Pydra, I mean, I still understand. I understand the hassle of Emre, right? You're building up resources here. You're possibly sending up a Transcendent Dragon. You want to attack as much as possible, go into Bident, and then summon out the Bident Dragon from the graveyard as well to take care of the Snake Eyes Diabellstar's follow-up. You can destroy it then. If that gets you to where you want to be in the end, I am not sure, because you're basically just going to end up on perhaps a Seals.
Synchro summoning here. Presumably the Bident Dragon that you mentioned.
Yeah. So we can activate this one to summon out another monster. Do we even get to Seals if we want to get rid of the Bident Dragon in the battle phase here? You can now synchro summon this off. We're still going to continue attacking. We can synchro summon this. We haven't used Gengroku, right? So I think we can synchro summon into Barondafleur here.
Yep, we very well...
That's also going to get rid of the Snake Eyes Diabellstar. It would get rid of even more cards, but don't have to summon out the Bident Dragon as well, even though maybe...
I have lingering suspicion that we were Dragon Locked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
when did we Dragon Lock ourselves?
I think Bident Dragon...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. True.
So the Sangenpai Transcendent Dragon now coming out does help, again, as you mentioned, just clear out the field. Ultimately, can't really do much against the Kikinaga Shifucho, and Barcode now hoping that one of the 3 cards that he'll have access to is enough to deal with this field.
Yeah, but I mean, we're just searching for Fadra now as well. Emre just keeps on going, trying to set up something. Fadra is being summoned as well. Kikinaga Shifucho is just still... Look at it. Look at it. It doesn't want to be pet, it doesn't want to be attacked over, it doesn't want to be affected by any cards. I love the flavor on this card. Really. Now we're going into main phase 2. So let's see what we can put up here. Is it Seals? Is it something else than Seals? I like what Emre does here with the field. You take away the battle phase effects from your opponent. You get a bounce. You have a set card, which could be helpful. And your Fire Dragons can't be destroyed by battle with the Fadra on the field.
So, Kikinaga Shifucho, I think, is another one of these Curry Photon-esque tech options against Tenpai Dragon specifically, where these decks have changed their approach in a way that they can reliably access cards that let them deal with what is one of the most impactful and explosive kind of meta-defining strategies in the format. Now, 3 cards in hand, as we mentioned, for Barcode. One of them needs to be a starter. That is one starter, but what does Emre have face down to deal with it in terms of disruption? What is the final card in the hand as well? Is there an answer to it? Because right now, looking pretty okay for Barcode.
I mean, keep in mind there's also original Sinful Spoiled Snake Eyes in the graveyard, so that you can recycle your monsters from the graveyard and search for a Snake Eye Oak, which is a phenomenal normal summon if you have some follow-up in the graveyard, or some setup in the graveyard rather, Diabellstar the Black Witch is just now looking good. Deception of the Sinful Spoils. I think we've added the Hallowed Azamina to our hand earlier. So we can actually just send the Deception from the field to the graveyard without having to tribute another monster to search for the quote-unquote fusion spell, the Hallowed Azamina.
Yep, Hallowed Azamina, of course. It looks like it is going to resolve here pending whatever Emre wants to do in response.
Yeah, I mean, you can activate the seals here, but that doesn't really do anything. You get to bounce the Diabellstar the Black Witch. That one was already summoned this turn. Murcielago is being activated now as well, so we want to go for the big route here. I think that Barcode is now going to go into a huge combo. There's not too much that Emre can do unless he might find a spot in which he can bounce to the hand and engraver that hits the field. That could help, but then again, considering all of these options, there is still normal summon Snake Eye Oak.
It is true. Unwanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils now being added to the hand. I guess this would add the Snake Eyes Diabellstar to the hand.
Yep, there is it's a very good point. However, I think you are also maybe just going to link those off, add the Hallowed Azamina back to the hand because you have Murcielago in your graveyard then.
Yeah.
And then you're going into the Fiendsmith engine and activate before that, after you link those off. You might go into Moon, then maybe Requiem. Then you can activate Hallowed Azamina from the graveyard to get it back. Yep.
Yeah, Moon of the Closed Heaven, of course, just allowing you further access to a lot of these Fiendsmith cards.
Yep. And then you get back Hallowed Azamina, you activate it, and then you chain Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils to send the Wanted to the graveyard, add back the Black Witch to the hand from the graveyard, or take one from the deck. I don't know if Barcode is playing that many more. Yeah, we're bouncing the Moon of the Closed Heaven, which is a very good choice by Emre, I think. I really like this because I think this is the most vulnerable that the engine is going to get.
It also shuts down a lot of the, well, I mean, all of the Fiendsmith options, to be honest. Barcode has one Azamina spell in hand, plus one unknown card, so it will be interesting to see what that exactly is. Is it another one-card starter?
Now, I think that you can still activate the original Sinful Spoils in the graveyard, right?
Ah, so yeah. Also, one of the cards in hand is the Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. Sorry, not the Azamina spell. But speaking of Azamina spells in the hand, Hallowed Azamina coming back.
There you go, Hallowed Azamina here. Chain the Wanted. Get back a Diabellstar Black Witch. We've seen him earlier not activating the Wanted, but I think that's because he only plays one Black Witch, and he had that on his field already, so he can't add it. So now he chains. And now he goes for Ilya Silva.
There is one from the graveyard now being added back. Then you can, of course, get the shuffle back and the draw from the Wanted effect as well.
And we should always have access to our Snake Eyes engine here, as we haven't normal summoned this turn yet. Plenty of stuff happened in this duel already, but Barcode is just getting started after doing the most minimalistic thing we've ever seen in turn 1, summoning Kiki Nagashi Fucho. And now he's shuffling back the original Sinful Spoils. Wait, did we already go through Oak? No, we have Oak in hand already. Nice. Did we search that at some point, or was that just a hard draw? Oak can, of course, now summon out the Snake Eyes Poplar from the graveyard. That is going to search out the original Sinful Spoils.
Any response here from Emre? We have the face down, we have the card in hand.
And Barcode has Ilya Silva, so it will better be 2 interruptions at this point. So we're seeing Emre is taking his sweet time. There is effects that he can activate, like, for example, the Genroku. So, summoning Genroku here is very cool in Master Duel, because then you can start bluffing. Because you will always have a possible effect that you can activate. So you can start thinking about stuff, even though you might not have an answer.
Yep, and on the topic of effects, activating this one from the Oak will resolve, bringing back the Poplar. Poplar's additional effect of adding a Snake Eye spell and trap from the deck to the hand will activate. That Sinful Spoils Snake Eye we shuffled back will be added back to the hand. It's online, it's able to be used. We could very well see it used right now.
Yep, and very well played by Emre, playing around the Millennium Ice Restrict, basically. The name I just forgot. There is no zone for it to take a monster. away, we have put in Snake Eyes Diabellstar into the Spell and Trap Zone here with Poplar, and Barcode is just celebrating his life right now. This is just a big combo. Ash Blossom and Joy Spring put into the Spell Trap Zone will be useful later. Snake
Eyes Doom Dragon, of course, being available later on, but as you said, later, because Snake Eyes Diabellstar will summon itself, clearing up that Spell and Trap card zone.
Yeah, or the OSS or Snake Eye Oak, they can all use this card here to summon out the boss monster of the deck,
Snake Eye Flamberge Dragon.
Yep, this card takes away resources from your opponent, gives you more if you set up your field, and of course also has a, we call it floating effect, where when it leaves the field or the hand to the graveyard, you can summon out 2 level 1 fire monsters. And we go into Moon again, because this is not an effect that you use to go into Requiem. You can summon this multiple times per turn. Now we go Link Summon into Requiem, and Barcode is just making all of the right decisions here, going into the Fiendsmith engine.
Yeah, that's always the downside of sending the Moon back to the hand, or effectively the extra deck in this case. Because if the Fiendsmith Snake Eye player is able to re-establish a field that they can confidently link off again, yes, you've cost them a 2 material card, but if they have 2 more materials, why not? Why don't they just go back and do it again? Lead into the Fiendsmith Requiem, lead in Fiendsmith Engraver, equip that, access the extra deck monsters from the Fiendsmith engine on top of it, and deal with some of these Tenpai Dragon cards as well.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Getting 2 link materials of your opponent's fields against Snake Eye, if you're doing this before they've normal summoned their first Snake Eyes monster, there is not a lot you're doing with that, not a lot that you're preventing with that, and now you need, for full Fiendsmith combo, if you're not starting with Engraver, you need a Mother Monster. If you have your Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon as that monster, even better. Sequence is being summoned, we get the Oak back, we can summon Snake Eye Ash or Poplar or whatever we want. Poplar has an effect on the field, so this might be the preferred one. You can fusion summon a Fiendsmith Lacrima now, and you're seeing the field of Emre already being diminished. Ilya Silva constantly threatening a negate for Barcode. And this is just, we're going to Desiree, using 3 materials.
Yep, 3 materials to access that larger Fiendsmith fusion monster. It has the 2 face-up negations available to it if needed. And actually now Fiendsmith Sequence living up to the name as it starts a sequence with the Snake Eyes and is able to capitalize on it. Here comes Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames, to bring back a fire type, to bring something back onto the field for Barcode, and that something should very well be enough to close this one out and secure Barcode's escape from this group. Snake Eyes, they have a spell card with escape in its name. Its name escapes me right now, but Barcode will escape this group with the first seed if this continues.
We're going into the battle phase. Does Emre want to fight back in this one? Desiree is being activated immediately to negate cards on the field. Genroku could be activated in response to that. Let's see.
Could be, but won't be, as it appears that the effect does resolve successfully.
Yeah, and also it doesn't target, so if you're chaining Genroku to the next card, it's just going to be negated.
True.
So Barcode is now going to attack, probably with the Snake Eye Oak onto the Genroku.
Battle phase has ended, actually. We're now in the end phase. We've seen Tenpai Dragon turn it around before. We've seen the comeback from Emre in disadvantageous situations before. It's the dream combo here, but is it enough right now? There's the Ultimate Slayer that would have been nice to deal with the Kikinagashi Fucho. Elder Entientis will be an additional destroy on top of this Ultimate Slayer as well. There's the animation, there's the resolution, and there is the removal of one of the fusion type monsters on the side of the field of Barcode. Elder Entientis, as we said, will send something else from the field to the graveyard. And the plays continue.
You can get rid of the Fiendsmith Sequence, so that Desiree doesn't really have any more negates. Can, of course, be chained. Okay, we can just send away the Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon. We still have Snake Eye Ash in the graveyard and Poplar as well, so those would be retrieved by the Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon. And this one, of course, summons out the Tenpai Transcendent Dragon. That is really, really cool from
So
Barcode.
that is really interesting because it means that the opponent, so the Tenpai Dragon player in this case, can't use the battle phase effects, which is what the Tenpai Dragon deck is all about. But here's Forbidden Droplet. It can potentially run interference, but it does get the Sangenpai Transcendent Dragon off the field, so Emre does have access to the effects in the battlefield. But how many effects does he have access to? Because right now, the field not looking too established, not looking too good. This duel not looking too good for Emre here, as Barcode seems to have weathered the storm, but it's not over yet. Here comes Snake Eyes Flambear's Dragon. Here comes Genroku, still on the field.
Iris, I'm gonna be honest, I think this looks kind of good for Emre right now, because there is nothing stopping this Genroku from just summoning out a Chandra. Wait, no, you don't have Chandra in hand in the deck anymore. You don't have Fadra in the deck anymore. There are very few targets. Do you play perhaps 2 Fadra? We're taking control of one monster. Promethean Princess, of course!
Bring back the Sangenpai Transcendent Dragon from the graveyard!
You can also take back the Fadra and summon back the Chandra with that effect as well. Go into the battle phase here. Emre is just clawing his way back into this. Fadra is being summoned here, getting back the tuner.
So you get back the tuner and then you climb eventually into the Trident Dragon, you have to imagine, as well.
Yeah, because you should still have Pydra in your deck. Chandra can, of course, summon this out. Then you set the Sangen summoning from your deck to your side of the field. We're attacking with Fadra, and now we're starting to slowly but surely chip away the field from Barcode. Barcode is going to activate Linkuriboh in response to that. First, Linkuriboh will be able to put the attack of the Fadra to 0. But does that really help you at this point?
It looked so good for Barcode, but we saw the power of the Tenpai Dragon. We mentioned this deck can turn it around in one single card. It took more than one. It took quite a few, but quite a few was exactly what Emre had available. No more cards in hand, but so many on the field right now as he loads Barcode's graveyard with what was previously a very nice Fiendsmith Snake Eyes field.
Yep, but there's the Promethean Princess attack as well. Now the world is just Emre's. The Sangenpai Transcendent Dragon is going to summon itself back out, preventing Barcode from using any effects for the rest of this battle phase. Therefore, you can freely run over the Fiendsmith. Desiree can't trigger in the graveyard anymore. You can use the Chandra. Do we even play 2 Biden Dragons? Does that even really matter? We're going to go into a level 10 synchro, and that is going to be the Trident Dragon that can just destroy the Promethean Princess. Attack twice. We haven't attacked with the Sangenpai.
Time?
Did we just lose to the timer? Did Barcode win because Emre...
Barcode wanted you to time limit there.
What is happening? This is absolutely insane. I was already questioning why Emre just went for the Trident Dragon there. Because that didn't seem like the optimal line, even though it would have gotten him there. But losing to the timer on Tenpai Dragons, that is something that I think only Basti could do.
The attack would have sealed the game for Emre. Wow. The attack would have secured him first seed out of this group, but because of that victory for Barcode, yes, it's a victory by time, but it is a victory nonetheless, and it secures Barcode's escape from this group in first position. Emre will take on Josh in the semi-finals. The Snipe Hunters matchup does not happen at the final stage. Instead, it happens in the next stage of this tournament.
That is absolutely insane. I really, really liked how this game went. It was back and forth. I personally still don't know why we had to skip our battle phase there. I don't think there was any runic cards involved in that turn, but there's always, that's the fun thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. There's so many little restrictions in some of the cards that if you forget one of those, your turn might be over. This is why Yu-Gi-Oh! Is such a complicated game.
As an Infinite Noble Knight player, I've locked myself to Warriors, I've locked myself to Fire, oftentimes at the opposite time of when I want to do that, but hey, it happens. Something else that happens is, of course, Barcode's upset victory there, being able to turn it around. But I say upset, he looked to be in a pretty commanding position from pretty much turn 1, thanks to that very, very well thought out Kiki Nagashi Fucho tech.
Yeah, that one was really, really strong. Understanding that in a format like this, Tenpai is going to be a very good strategy. Not only that, I mean, Tenpai is always a very good strategy. If you're playing a DC Cup or a Challenger Cup, be aware of Tenpai. However, in this tournament, you know when your opponent is going to play Tenpai most of the time. So it makes sense to have this option.
You also know for sure in the best of 3 stage when your opponent is picking Tenpai. So this was a very good read from Barcode and does actually bode very well for his chances later on, provided he can deal with Colossa, who will be his opponent. We said there's the Snipe Hunter versus Snipe Hunter match, but there's also Barcode versus Colossa in the other semi-final. Both of our remaining pairs of duelists will play it out to guarantee that they get at least one of these trophies.
Yep, speaking of trophies, Barcode hasn't gotten one yet. He is in the top 4. Let's hear it from him. Does he still think that he can take it all the way?
He might well do, Leo, but he has just told me that he was shaking like a leaf in those final moments. But what a match that was. You guys had a real duel there that just kept going. So talk to us about how you're feeling at this moment.
It was absolutely amazing. Like, the duel was intense, very intense. And, you know, when you're paired against Tenpai, it's really hard. I had a plan. I told you that earlier today. The plan was basically to go foot show if the guy lets me go first, which happened. But the problem was that after that, it was a very complicated game state. And it was really interesting. But, you know, the time limit is just going down and down again and again. And then I saw the time limit and I started shaking. I'm not gonna lie, I started shaking. It was really hard because then I saw, before entering battle phase, that there was maybe 20 seconds left or 15 seconds left. So it was really hard, and all of a sudden I misclicked. I have to say that. I misclicked, and it literally saved me. It saved me because if I entered battle phase, then I would have lost. I would have lost the game. We just discussed that right after with Emre, and he told me that with the droplet, which was set, it would just have been over for me. So it actually saved me, which is absolutely amazing.
That is amazing. Wow, what a fortuitous serendipity that's led you to getting into this final. I mean, that is a heck of a bunch of different circumstances to line up, but it worked. You are going through.
Indeed.
So that must feel pretty good.
I mean, that's the most important, right? I'm in the last 4 people over there, and I'm gonna do my best to defend the France during these matches.
You're going to be up against Italy. You're going to be against Colossa in the second of our semi-final rounds. So best of luck with that. I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to let you go and decompress a bit before that match. So while Barco goes off and does that and gets ready.